Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, Kathy96. Thanks for the great suggestion, Kathy. You ask, what's the difference between copper and aluminum wiring? If you've ever peeked behind an outlet or seen a bundle of wires and thought, they all look the same, why does it even matter? You're not alone. Today, we're untangling the shocking truth, figuratively, of course, about what really sets copper and aluminum apart. So, if you're ready to plug into the science of wiring, stick around, because we're about to get electrifying right here on Explaining Everything. All right, so first things first. Both copper and aluminum are metals that conduct electricity. That's the fancy way of saying they let electricity move through them easily, kind of like how gossip moves through a group chat, fast and unstoppable. But they don't behave the same way. Copper is like that reliable friend who always shows up on time. It conducts electricity better, it's stronger, and it resists corrosion. Meanwhile, aluminum is that lightweight friend who's super affordable and flexible, but sometimes forgets to text you back. That's why copper has been the gold standard, or should we say copper standard, for electrical wiring for decades. But aluminum has had its moments too, especially when people were trying to save money. Let's rewind to the 1960s and 70s, a time when bell-bottoms were in, disco was alive, and copper prices went through the roof. Electricians and builders were like, we need something cheaper. And aluminum was right there, waving its lightweight little hand, saying, pick me. At the time, it seemed perfect. Aluminum was cheaper, lighter, and easy to work with. But there was just one teeny tiny problem. It didn't behave the same way as copper. You see, aluminum expands and contracts a lot when it heats up and cools down. Imagine a metal that acts like it just had too much coffee, constantly moving. Over time, this movement loosened connections at outlets and switches. And when wires get loose, things start to spark. Literally. That's when people began noticing their outlets turning brown, lights flickering, and in worst cases, fires starting. Suddenly, aluminum wasn't looking so shiny anymore. Here's where things get a little technical, but don't worry, no calculator required. Copper conducts electricity about 60% better than aluminum. That means for the same amount of current, aluminum wiring needs to be thicker. So if you have a copper wire that's, say, 2 millimeters thick, the aluminum version has to be closer to 3.2 millimeters to carry the same current safely. That's like saying if copper is a highway with 4 lanes, aluminum needs 6 just to handle the same traffic. And because aluminum oxidizes faster, that's the fancy term for rusting, it can form a thin layer of aluminum oxide. Now, this oxide doesn't conduct electricity well. Think of it like putting plastic wrap on your contacts and wondering why you can't see. That resistance causes heat buildup, and again, bad news for anything flammable nearby. Now, before we completely roast aluminum, it's worth noting it's not all bad. Aluminum wiring today isn't the same as the stuff used decades ago. Modern aluminum alloys are much safer, and the connectors are specially designed to handle expansion and contraction. Plus, aluminum is still widely used in power lines, electrical grids, and large transmission cables. Why? Because it's much lighter than copper, about 3 times lighter, and way cheaper. Imagine trying to hang massive copper cables across entire cities. Your budget would cry. So aluminum does the heavy lifting, literally in large-scale applications, while copper handles the delicate in-home wiring where safety and stability are top priorities. It's kind of like how aluminum is the long-distance runner and copper is the careful, detail-oriented sprinter. If you live in a house built between the 1960s and mid-1970s, there's a chance you have aluminum wiring. Don't panic. Just don't go sticking a screwdriver in the outlet either. You can sometimes see markings on the wires themselves, like AL or aluminum, in your electrical panel. If you're not sure, get an electrician to check. And if you do have aluminum wiring, it doesn't automatically mean danger. It just means you might need upgraded connections or special fittings to keep things safe. Please, for the love of all that's insulated, don't try to DIY it unless you're a certified electrician. Your life is worth more than saving $50 on labor. So, which one wins the title of Best Electrical Metal? For most homes, copper still takes the crown. It's durable, safe, and dependable. It costs more, but it's like investing in good shoes. You only realize their value when they don't fall apart. Aluminum, on the other hand, shines in big projects, power lines, factories, and large buildings, where its lightweight nature and lower cost make sense. So really, it's not which is better, it's which is better for the job. Copper is your trustworthy electrician. Aluminum is your budget-friendly intern. Both useful, but you probably don't want the intern rewiring your kitchen. So, the next time someone brags about saving money by using aluminum wire, you can say, "Cool, just don't plug in your toaster and microwave at the same time." If you learned something new today, or if you just appreciate a good electric pun, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for tuning in and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about here on Explaining Everything.